Hello everyone, my first Where Are They Now for 2020. So we are going back to a different year. We are going back to 2018 and revisiting my monthly favorites from that month, which is January. If you are brand new to this concept, I go back in time 2 years to the same month and we look at the description box, which is this handy guy right here, and we see what is still a favorite, and if it's not, what has replaced it. So here we go. First product I mentioned in January 2018 was the Lancome Tint Miracle Foundation. It's not a favorite. I just kind of set it aside and moved on to something else. The good news is, still a pretty full bottle, so I'm gonna pull this sucker out and give it another go. I will say I'm curious to try the Lancome Renergie, or however you pronounce it. I've heard really good things, so that is on my radar for 2020. Another favorite from 2018 was the Dior Forever Foundation. I loved it. It would still be a favorite if it still existed. It does not. It has since been replaced by another high-end, which I could get 2 bottles of, yes, 2+ bottles of the Forever for this cost, but this little bottle is still going strong. It's the La Mer Soft Fluid Longwear Foundation that it's towards the bottom, almost time to get another one. I say that every time I talk about this and it seems to regenerate. Maybe that's its magical property. For $120, that wouldn't be a bad idea. It's the bottle that just doesn't stop. It's fabulous, as it should be, for what it costs. Next was the Chanel Illusion d'Ombre. I love saying that. In the shade Undertone, which, to be perfectly honest, totally forgot I had. And as you can see at the top there, it is sort of pulling away from the bottle jar, which means it's drying up. But now that I'm touching it, it's not dry. It's a miracle. I have to admit, obviously, I haven't really used it much. So what am I using in its stead? I love the Charlotte Tilbury Cream Shadows. Okay, now it's all over my finger. I love them. They are shimmery though. They don't have the undertone, if you will. This is a matte shade. If I'm gonna go for a matte shade, honestly, I'm just gonna use a powder shadow. I had every intention of rocking a cream eye, matte cream eye. Guess I didn't follow through with that. So no longer a favorite. And if I'm going to reach for a cream eyeshadow, I think the Charlotte Tilbury cream shadows are far and away much better made than the Chanel ones. They are creamier, they last forever, and they don't dry out. They just do not dry out like the Chanel ones. So, and they're less expensive. So there you go. Next, it's still a favorite, but as with many of the favorites, particularly from this month, so many of them are discontinued. I don't know what's going on. It was the Smashbox Full Exposure Travel Size Palette. Look at the beauty of this. This is literally the size of a business card, credit card, some sort of card. Look at this tiny little guy, discontinued. Now, if it were gonna be perfect, it would be a little more warm toned, but it's still pretty close. Of course, it's no longer available. If I were gonna suggest something that is a similar size, the Viseart, oh, they're sticking together. The magnet, look at that. That's kind of cool. The Viseart Petite Pro palettes are the same size. They are the exact same size. They're thicker, but they're the exact same size. Similar concept. Some are more neutral than others. I have talked about these before. I've taken some of the pans from one and put them in pans from the other. So I've kind of made my sort of go-to travel palette by mixing a couple of the pans here from 2 different palettes, the 1 and the 4, I believe. So if you wanted to kind of make your own perfect travel size, buy a few of these and just mix them into one. Not the most cost effective. My personal favorite travel palette is the Milani Soft and Sultry palette. I'm not bringing it with me because I talk about it ad nauseum. A favorite from January 2018 was the Maybelline Total Temptation Mascara. I do like it. I've moved on to others, which I'm going to recommend, but something that is still in my arsenal from that line that I really like is the Total Temptation Brow Definer. Love it. I can only recommend the blonde one because that's the one I used. It's shade 300 Blonde. Absolutely love this for a brow pencil, but my current favorite drugstore mascara, one of them anyway, is the Essence, which one is it? I always get these mixed up. The Lash Princess in the False Lash Effect. I have been recently using I think it's the 18-hour volume stylist, something to that effect, but I haven't been using it as long. I'm sure it will become a favorite, but right now the Essence, or of course the standout drugstore one is the L'Oreal Voluminous Lash Paradise. Those are both great ones. One of the reasons I personally, selfishly love doing these throwback videos is it helps me shop my stash and rediscover old favorites, literally old. And a favorite from January 2018 that I forgot I had, sitting right in front of me in a drawer, but still forgot, were the Flower Beauty Mix and Matte Lip Duos, and specifically the shades Tickled Pink, Honey Nude, yes, and Melon Kiss. And what these are, they're pretty cool. It's a dual-ended lip product. So one end you have your typical twist-up, sort of just traditional lipstick, which they say is matte, but it's really not matte. I'd say it's more of a true satiny kind of finish. I will show you here. Maybe a drier satin, but it's not your traditional dry, horrible feeling matte finish. And then on this end is a very nice, opaque, very similar toned lip gloss. It might be time for me to repurchase and get a new version of this. This one is the Honey Nude one. They are beautiful. If you like bright colors, they have really bright ones. If I have to pick one shade that I love the best, I'd have to say it's probably the Tickled Pink one, which is this one right here. It's sort of a mauve, dusty rose sort of shade, and then the lip gloss is really pretty. So it sort of combats any dryness you might have, and it extends the pigment on your lips. I gave Milani a hard time during my drugstore try-on earlier this month, but this one is still a favorite. It's the Milani, I think it's the Color Harmony blush. This one is in Berry Rays. It's, depending on where you dip the brush, you can get lighter or darker. And it's just a pretty glowy, radiant blush. There's a coral option, there's a more pink option. This is the berry option. I think they're beautiful. I love it. Now, a favorite from back in January that's no longer a favorite is the highlighter in Afterglow, I believe it was called. It's not that I dislike it, I've just sort of moved on to a different drugstore highlighter, and this one is the Maybelline Master Chrome in Molten Rose Gold, I believe. It's not the same color family, but it is another drugstore highlighter, and if you want the exact same color, there is one that is a very similar shade to the Milani one, but I think the Maybelline highlighters the Master Chrome ones are outstanding. Now, a favorite sunscreen from 2 years ago was the Supergoop Unseen Sunscreen, and it is still a great one. It's clear, it's a lot more of a silicone feel to it, and I say that without knowing if there's actually silicone in it, so don't quote me on that. There's nothing wrong with it, but I have moved on to something that I like even better, and I mentioned it before, and it is the Australian Gold Mineral Lotion Non-Greasy Tinted version. It has a really long name, but this is the one that I like. A few of you mentioned in the comments earlier this month that you find this to be drying. I have really dry skin, and I'm using Retin-A, and I am not finding that to be the case. Now, I have switched up my daytime moisturizer to something really moisturizing, and I do use that and then put this on top of it, so that might be why. I am using the CeraVe, is it called the moisturizing cream? And that's a much thicker, heavier moisturizer than what I've traditionally been using, which has been the Colleen Rothschild Sheer Renewal Cream. It's a very nice moisturizer, don't get me wrong, but I found with the Retin-A and everything else, it just wasn't moisturizing enough. So that might be why I'm not having any dryness. I'll keep you posted if that changes, but so far this is currently my absolute favorite. What's left? Favorites from January 2018. The Neutrogena Hydrating Lip Shine. I recommended specifically Pink Sorbet and Radiant Rose. Still have them. Still absolutely love them. And I went on to grab Raspberry, and I think this is some sort of coral shade. The print is so tiny, no normal eyes can read it. And then this deeper shade that looks scary. Sorry. This deeper shade that looks scary, but when you put it on the lips, it's just kind of a nice berry shade. Anyway, I love the Neutrogena Lip Shines. They are a beautiful lip gloss, drugstore or high-end. They're outstanding. 3 nail polishes that were favorites from 2018. Let's start with the one that, of course, is discontinued. It's from Butter London. It's called Dearie Me. It's this beautiful, dusty rose shade that, of course, I cannot find an approximation to anywhere. They discontinued it for reasons I don't know. I love it. I'm gonna just wear it till the bottle wears out. 2 from Zoya that are still around and are absolutely beautiful. This one is called Leia This one I think is great layered over something else to give a really nice iridescence. I think it's especially beautiful layered on top of white. It's a really nice color for an accent nail. And then this is close. I'm gonna shake it up so you can see it a little better. This is close to Dear Me, but not quite right. It's called Libby. And it's, as you can see, not exactly the same, but it's in the same color family. It's a pretty sort of brighter lavender. And it leads me, this guy right here, leads me to my next favorite, which is still a favorite, and was actually one of, I think, my lifestyle favorites for 2019, which is this plastic nail tip right here. It was a favorite for January 2018, and I get these on Amazon, a big old bag of nails. Here you are. This is my most recent order, and it's what I use to swatch all my nail polishes so that I know what the true color is, so that when I want to put on some nail polish, I can give it a go and see what it looks like. Two more favorites. So one is still absolutely a favorite. It's just not a splurge I've reached for to purchase in a long time, were the SK-II face masks. Hands down, the most incredible facial mask, sheet mask I've ever used. You will absolutely see a difference in your skin, of course, temporarily. So I highly recommend picking one up before a special event. I just haven't picked one up in a long time. I haven't had anything that special happening lately that I would need to look particularly amazing for. So I would recommend it, continue to recommend it, just haven't bought one in a while. And then the last favorite from January 2018, I will insert a picture of because it's teeny tiny. And it's kind of funny because I think I think it was just a top seller for December. It was a top seller for December of last, so it's still a favorite of yours and mine, is the Nordstrom Cubic Zirconia, the little stud earrings. A continual favorite. I mean, they're just a classic, under $60. They look absolutely beautiful. I mean, if you wanted to pass them off as a real diamond, I think it could probably pass. And if you don't like the round, just basic, I think it's a 4-carat weight. They have them in different shapes. They have an emerald cut now that is stunning, stunning. Different sizes, shapes like I mentioned. It's beautiful. So those were my favorites from January 2018 and some new favorites and some discontinued items. Hopefully you rediscovered some favorites along with me. Let me know if you enjoy these. Were you here in 2018? Hopefully, and hopefully you are here for a few years more to come. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Let me know if you were here in 2018. Say hi in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching another video with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Oh, and one more thing. If you want to know what's going on with my face today and you missed that video, I'll link it down below, and it'll be popping up somewhere around here momentarily as well. See you in the next one, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.